Akashvani Mangaluru presents Voices from the Bookshelf in collaboration with Bookaholics Mangalore. Dear listeners, welcome to today's episode of Voices from the Bookshelf. In this episode, you will listen to a talk by Ananya Madhyal on And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie.
Many of us first got our taste for mysteries when we were kids. Maybe we flipped through Nancy Drew, the girl always stumbling into secrets in her trusty blue convertible, and we were racing to solve the puzzle before she did. Or maybe we were a Hardy Boys fan, flashlight in hand, dreaming of adventure and uncovering secrets. As we grew older, our taste in mysteries grew up too. Suddenly, the puzzles were more layered and the crimes a little darker. We discovered the world of Agatha Christie, the undisputed queen of crime. Her iconic characters, Miss Marple, the quiet lady in the corner of the tea room who saw more than one expected, or Hercule Poirot with his meticulous moustache, always a step ahead of the rest. They showed us that observation, logic, and human psychology could untangle even the most baffling of the cases. But today, I want to talk about a mystery which is different. There is no Poirot, no Miss Marple, no detective swooping in to untangle the mess. Christie did something groundbreaking with her novel And Then There Were None. There is no neat solution here, just 10 strangers, an isolated island, and a chilling countdown to their inevitable fate. This is one of the most terrifying, cleverly constructed murder mysteries ever written. And the mastermind behind it all was Agatha Christie. During the First World War, she worked in a pharmacy, where she learned, quite useful for her career, the ins and outs of poisons. That knowledge would feature heavily in her novels, making her plot not just suspenseful, but also scientifically convincing. She later married Max Mallowan, a renowned archaeologist, and their travels to the archaeological digs across the Middle East inspired many of her works, including Death on the Nile and Murder in Mesopotamia. Christie experienced fame, yes, but her life was as fascinating as her fiction. Perhaps the most curious chapter of her own life was when she disappeared for 11 days, sparkling a nationwide manhunt. She was eventually found in a hotel under a false name, claiming amnesia, which is a mystery which remains unsolved even to this day. Over her career, Christie wrote 66 detective novels, 14 short story collections, 6 romance novels under the pseudonym Mary Westmacott, and the world's longest running play, The Mousetrap. Her books have sold over 2 billion copies, making her one of the most widely read authors in history. And she is outsold only by the Bible and the works of Shakespeare. Interestingly, Christie considered And Then There Were None, published in 1939, to be her greatest technical challenge and her personal favorite among all her works. She called it a technical tour de force. Why? Because constructing a plot where 10 characters die one by one, without frustrating the reader or making the outcome feel contrived, required extraordinary skill. The story had to remain logical, fair, and also satisfying to the very end. To structure this literary puzzle, Christie drew inspiration from a nursery rhyme, specifically a version of a poem written by Frank Green in 1869, which is now called 10 Little Soldiers. The rhyme serves as the novel's sinister blueprint, each verse predicting the manner of death for the characters line by chilling line. Now, to add insult to injury, this creepy rhyme was framed and displayed in each guest's bedroom, a constant, silent foreshadowing of their fate. It starts with 10 little soldier boys went out to dine, one choked his little self, and then there were 9. And as you would have it, the first murder in the book follows this line, and the victim dies by choking. The rhyme continues to describe 9 other ways to die, and the characters follow suit, ending with one little soldier boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself, and then there were none. Now here is the setup, deceptively simple but devastatingly effective. There are 10 strangers from different walks of life, all with skeletons in their closets, and they are invited to Soldier Island. The invitations vary. Some believe that they are going for a job, others for a reunion, and some simply for a relaxing holiday. But when they arrive, they find that there is no host. The grand mansion is empty, save for a gramophone which crackles to life after dinner. And a voice accuses each guest of murder, crimes that for one reason or the other escaped legal punishment. And then the killings begin. With each of the death, the tension rises, trust dissolves, and realization sets in that the killer must be one among them. Now there is no escape, the boat is not coming, and no one, not even the reader, knows whom to trust. The cast of characters is a masterclass in human complexity. We have Justice Wargrave, a retired judge who is logical, sharp-minded, imposing, but with secrets of his own. Vera Clayton, a young governess, composed and capable, haunted by a tragic incident involving a child. Philip Lombard, a soldier of fortune, cool, confident, carrying a gun, but his past is steeped in betrayal and violence. General MacArthur, a decorated war hero who is now an aging, isolated man, weighed heavily down by regrets, waiting for his final reckoning. Dr. Armstrong, a respected physician, successful on the surface, but his medical brilliance is clouded by personal demons and questionable ethics. We also have Emily Brent, stern, self-righteous, devout. She clings to her rigid moral code, but behind her piety lurks quiet cruelty. Anthony Marston, young and reckless and dashingly handsome, his charm marks arrogance and also a dangerous disregard for life. Mr. Bloor is a former police officer. He is blunt, practical, and not above bending rules, especially when it serves his own interests. Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, the help, dutiful and discreet, but haunted by something unspoken. Each person carries a secret, a past that they thought buried, and the island exposes them all. What I love is how, as the story unfolds, their carefully polished exteriors start to crack. Fear usually does that to people. And Christie peels back their layers, pride, guilt, self-preservation, until you see them raw and stripped of all pretense. What makes And Then There Were None so remarkable is its atmosphere of paranoia, isolation, and inevitability. Unlike many modern thrillers which thrive on ambiguity, Christie's world is starkly moral. Each guest carry their guilt for their role in another's death, some through direct action, while others through negligence or cowardice. These characters are flawed and guilty, and the island becomes their courtroom without any judge or jury. Justice arrives, relentless and inescapable. The novel explores the terrifying unraveling of civility when survival is at stake. It shows us just how fragile civilization really is. As the guests are cut off from the mainland, suspicion replaces courtesy, and their facades crack, revealing raw fear and self-preservation instincts. Christie just doesn't give us a puzzle, she delivers a psychological pressure cooker that keeps you guessing until the final shocking revelation. Since its publication, And Then There Were None has sold over 100 million copies, making it the best-selling crime novel of all time. It has been adapted into films, radio plays, stage productions, and miniseries, including the brilliant 2015 BBC adaptation, which restored the novel's dark original ending. Its closed circle, isolation location structure has inspired countless modern works, including The Guest List by Lucy Foley, Knives Out, which is written and directed by Rian Johnson, The Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino. Survival thrillers like Squid Game also owe a debt to Christie's claustrophobic, tension-filled structure. Even video games such as The Quarry and Until Dawn borrow this premise of isolation, secrecy, and elimination. Now, if you're a mystery lover like me, you will be amused at some of these fun facts. The island in the story, Soldier Island, was inspired by Burgh Island in Devon, where Christie often stayed. You can still visit it today, though thankfully without the ominous nursery rhymes and the disappearing guests. Christie wrote an alternative ending for the stage version, where two characters survive, believing that the theatre audiences would prefer hope over bleakness. Even the Queen of Crime knew when to soften the blow. Now, there is a detail about the book which reflects not just literary history but also social history. When the novel was first published in the UK in 1939, it carried a different and a now deeply offensive title, taken directly from the original version of the 19th century nursery rhyme. However, when the book was published in the United States in 1940, the title was changed to And Then There Were None, drawn from the final haunting line of the rhyme. Later, even the British editions followed suit. This is a reminder that even timeless literature reflects the values and the prejudice of its time. It reflects the casual racism sadly embedded in parts of the society at that time. The story itself remains a masterclass in suspense, and thankfully, its presentation has evolved to align with today's standards of respect and inclusivity. And Then There Were None isn't just a murder mystery. It is a reminder of how secrets fester, how justice, when ignored by the society, find other ways to be served. It's a masterclass in plotting, adventure, atmosphere, and moral clarity. It taps into something universal, the idea that we can run from the law but not from our own conscience. In an era where modern thrillers often leave readers questioning the ending, where even our heroes are flawed, Christie's novel offers something rare. It remains refreshingly and hauntingly definitive, a terrifying but clear message that actions have consequences. A masterpiece in suspense, isolation, and human psychology, And Then There Were None stays with you long after you have closed the book. If you have never read it, or if it's been a while since you've read it, I highly recommend losing yourself on Soldier Island. Just maybe don't accept any mysterious invitations. Thank you.
You were listening to Ananya Madhyal on And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This was today's Voices from the Bookshelf. See you in the next episode.